Hello, everyone. Very good evening. A very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Gajendra Mutt, and this session is brought to you by Leverage IELTS, brought to you by Leverage Edu. And in this session, I'll be discussing some important points related to IELTS Writing Task 2 module. So, first thing we would like to start with is that it has been observed that most people they get their lowest band score in writing section of IELTS, and there are a number of reasons behind that. And the most common reason that we have been able to observe is that people do not understand the assessment criteria. So, not being able to understand the assessment criteria leads to producing a lower band score response. And this is what we are going to discuss in this session. In this session, we'll go over to some of the most important aspects of four evaluation criteria, which evaluate how well your writing is done, right? Also, we'll see how avoiding some common mistakes would help you get a higher band score in writing section. So let's start by first looking at the one of the most commonly made, frequently made mistakes. The first mistake is not answering the question fully. So for this, I'm sharing a question here in the chat box. Please read it once and identify what is being asked in this question. Now, if you read, it says children can learn effectively by watching television. Therefore, they should be encouraged to watch television both at home and at school. And the demand is to what extent do you agree or disagree? So we can clearly identify from this demand that this is an opinion question. We're asking you to what extent do you agree or disagree? So, what we need to keep in mind here, the first thing is we have to address the question and not write more generally about the topic. There are a few things that we need to include and a few things that we need to avoid. So, first, let's take a look at what you should not write about in your response. First thing, you don't have to talk about general benefits and drawbacks of watching TV because that's not what the question is about. You don't have to write about why watching TV is important and why is it a waste of time. These details are not to be included. You also do not need to include general problems faced by people who spend a lot of time watching TV. Now, read the question once again. Children can learn effectively by watching television. So, see, the word learn effectively by watching television. So, the focus is on learning by watching television. And if you read the second line, there are these words watching television both at home and at school. So, we have to discuss the benefits of watching television for children with regards to learning at home and at school. So, if you include details which are not entirely focused on the topic, that would lead to a lower band score response. So, what you actually need to answer in this question, there are two questions. First, is it a good idea to push children to watch TV at home for education? Right, for education, I'm highlighting it. Second, is it wise to allow children to watch TV at school again for education purposes? So these are the two questions that we need to answer. Talking about other details like general benefits and drawbacks of watching TV or problems faced by people who watch a lot of TV would not lead to a decent band score, right? So, what details you can include now? Let's take a look. Now, suppose if you agree to the given argument. So, what you can include how TV can be a very effective educational tool which can be used at home and in school, right? If you're agreeing, you can talk about some ideas. For instance, children can watch moral cartoons, and that will teach them how they can talk and they need to behave well. They can also you can also include details such as they can watch documentaries such as BBC's Planet series that would help them understand the world, animals, and the ecosystem, how it can be an effective tool for teachers or for students in school. We can talk about uh, conducting first watching educational video in class and then conducting some follow-up activities that would engage these students. We can also talk about how history could become more fascinating by including visuals in the class. So these are the details you can include if you're agreeing to the topic. If you're disagreeing, you can talk about some other ideas, some contrasting ideas as to why TV is not an effective tool for education, again, for education at home and at school. So these are the types of details that will give you a good band, decent band in writing section 2. But if you include any of the details which are not relevant or details that are not helping you fully answer the question, that will lead to a lower band score sample. Second mistake would be to not answering the question or not making the opinion clear. What do I mean by that? See, the question is, to what extent do you agree or disagree? So you have to make your opinion crystal clear. If you include statements like, I'm not sure what to say here, or I think it has both pros and cons, or if you say it is difficult for me to take a side, all of these type of opinion statements would lower your band score because it's these statements are a bit ambiguous. You're not being clear with your opinion. And as a layman, if anybody is reading your response, if he cannot identify your position on the topic, then this will lead to a lower band score. So, what we should be doing instead? We should be using personal pronouns to express our opinion, like I think, according to me, as far as I am concerned, and then give your opinion. You can also you should also remember to present your opinion not only just in introduction, but also in conclusion. Another point to keep in mind is that your opinion should be maintained throughout the essay. Some people, they write their opinion statement clearly that I agree with the argument, but they don't include reasons that support the argument. So this should be made clear. You have to make your opinion clear throughout the essay, not just in introduction and conclusion. One more thing is, you are not supposed to contradict yourself here. If you're saying I agree, I strongly agree to this given notion, you do not have to contradict yourself. Now, if you change your opinion midway after writing one or two paragraphs, let's say you include some contrasting details. So, what happens again? Your position would be not very clear. So, make sure you keep the opinion clear throughout. The third mistake would be not linking the ideas properly.